Welcome to Sunday Rewind. This is where we take a look all the way back to last Sunday and get you ready for tomorrow morning's Table Talk group at 9:15. So here we go. Last Sunday, we began a new series church-wide entitled Mission Impossible. That's right, cue the music. We're going to begin a journey into the life of Moses, who is a man on the run, not listening, just running. You know, like the way we have been guilty of running from our parents, not listening. Have you ever been there? Has there ever been a time when you haven't listened to your parents? Well, unfortunately, I have. I remember when I was a younger teen and my mom always told me, hey, you're not to ride with anybody. And it was summer, and one of my friends, Larry, came over and said, hey, I got my driver's license, man, let's go driving. And I thought about it for a minute and said, okay, let's go. So I hopped in the truck with him when we were driving down this dirt road, and something flashed in front of us, and all of a sudden Larry swerved off the road, and we went off of this bridge, and it was kind of like a movie moment, where we went into the bank, and so half the truck was on the bridge, half the truck was in the bank, and I was on the side looking at the water, and all of a sudden Larry hopped out of the truck, and I go to climb up, and it's like the movie moment, slow motion, where I'm moving up to go out of the window, and just as I go out of the window, the truck rolls over into the water, and I almost died. At least that's the way I tell it. But so I'm over there on the dirt road. I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of this? I don't want to tell my mom this. I got to hide this from her. And some guy came and picked us up. And man, I thought I was home free. He dropped me off. And, my mom came home from work, and I went out to go play. And I came back home, and my mom was waiting for me. And she said, son, do you have something to tell me? And I'm like, I love you? She goes, no. She goes, did you go ride with Larry? You see, what had happened is the guy who picked me up, his wife, worked with my mom, and what I thought I had hidden was now in the open. The mistake I'd made, I thought I'd gotten rid of it and kept it buried, but I didn't. You see, this is what Moses is doing. He's running from his past, running from God, trying to keep his mistakes buried, literally. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's do some review here, because it is, Sunday morning review. Moses was a Hebrew kid who was fished out of the water and became an Egyptian prince. That's right. He was supposed to be another tally mark on the wall of death for the Egyptians. That is until Pharaoh's daughter rescued him. And he had everything going for him, and he was set up to live a life that only others could dream of having. And he was very seldom without, except the knowledge of his Hebrew roots. You see, Exodus 2:11 informs us that years later, Moses went out to his own people. He found out that actually the Hebrew people were his people. And as you can imagine, it would be difficult to keep that a secret, that Hebrew origin a secret. And so he found out. And so Moses, knowing the truth about his past, begins to walk around. And all of a sudden, he sees some Hebrews that are being mistreated. And it starts to stir something in him, and in Exodus 2:12 says, looking around and seeing no one, he struck the Egyptian dead and hid him in the sand. Did you get that? He hid the dead body in the sand. So the next day, he's confronted by two men who call him out for being a murderer. So he begins his life on the run. He's found out, his mistakes are found out. He begins life on the run for almost 40 years. That is until God got his attention through a burning bush. You know the story. The bush is on fire, but it is not being consumed. It is God speaking directly to Moses. You see, God literally shows up in a burning bush and calls out to Moses, and Moses stops and listens. You see, God goes on to tell him he wants to deliver his people from the sufferings they are experiencing at the hand of the Egyptians. And here comes the Mission Impossible moment. Just like God's using the burning bush to call out Moses, God wants to use Moses to call out Pharaoh. And we see that in Exodus 3, especially in verse 10. And here's Moses' response in Exodus 3:11. Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the Israelites out of Egypt? You see, Moses is caught in the middle of a future to which God is calling him to, and a past that haunts him. And this is where we feel like Moses, this impossible mission where we are trying to outrun a past that we aren't proud of, and it causes us to run from a future that God is calling us to, all because we take the ride on this hamster wheel of disqualification. for what we've done. You see, it's important that we know that God doesn't want us to bury the things that He can build on. You see, obviously, God is not a big fan of a murder your own enemy approach, right? But it is time to stop hiding. It is time to stop burying or running away from the places of people that God is calling you toward. And you can be a part of His plan no matter what you've done. We don't move past our mistakes by living a life of hiding them day after day like Moses for 40 years. We move past our mistakes by bringing them into the light. That's why we can find so much reassurance in Exodus 3:12, where God tells Moses, I will certainly be with you. You see, if God called and used Moses the murderer, He is certainly calling you. It is time to step into your Mission Impossible moment this week. So there you go. You're caught up, ready for tomorrow, 9:15, Table Talk groups in our student building. And if you miss it, we'll give you another recap on Saturday to catch you up. You can catch this video on Instagram, or you can catch it on our UHBC app that you can download on the store today. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Hope you have a great Saturday evening with your family.